wonderful people. I'm your host, Fatmata Bayo. If you are watching us for the first time, it is Educational Talent Show, the one and only TV program that brings you the most awesome, talented Gambians from all genes of literature. This program comes to you live on Fine TV Gambia, your only viewpoint, on every Sunday, 4 p.m. onwards. Today with me is someone who needs no introduction because he's known by all. But to do justice, since we have little newborn babies coming into this world every single day, we will do some little introductions. It's so good to have you, Kebba.
Thank you very much, Fatmata. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. First of all, you have to tell us about your name, Panacea. How did that come about?
Well, good afternoon, viewers. I'm very happy to be here. It is your boy, it's your friend, your family member. I'm Kebba S. Juwara, the Panacea poet. Like now, I like making it like Panacea instead of saying the Panacea poet because I've now started exploring other genres of literature. The name Panacea came up within my inborn and innate task, like this taste that I always have to do something to outsmart people that I'm always with. I always like reading things that people have not known, then coming to give them something that they have never had. I remember when I was in high school, I used to go to the library to read these big books. And one time I was reading one story. I believe it is about the Greek mythology. Then I came across this god who is known to cure all kinds of disease, and the name is Panacea. So I said to myself, wow, this will fit me. Then I collected that name. It was about 2014, 2015. I loved the name so much. So I started calling myself Panacea, started writing it on my books, and that's how the name came up, the Panacea. Then when I became a poet, I added poet there to make it the Panacea poet. That's the source of the name.
Amazing. Although you have did a brief introduction about you when you're talking about why your name Panacea came about, we still ask you, who are you?
Well, I am the son of the Karanke. I mean, actually supposed to be a blacksmith. Like I always say, though I don't smith metals, but I'm still a smith, because I craft words.
Sure.
It's still smithery. Yeah, I am Kebba S. Juwara, born in Badibu Sanjali, Kanikunda, North Bank, the region, in 1997. Later moved to Combo with my parents, though I started school over there in St. Junjabo Basic Cycle. I'll never forget because it was my foundation. Then I moved to Bakote proper lower basic school. I did only grade 3 there. Then my dad got a compound in Farato. Then we transferred, and then I completed my basic education in Busumbala Farato lower basic school, locally called Kokum. And later moved to Mindao for my junior school and subsequently St. Peter's for my high school. I believe the others are important, like the other stages of my life are important. But I think St. Peter's was a turning point in my life. This is where I met my inspirations. People like Mr. Musa Balde, people like Sokoya. It's a Nigerian name.
Okay.
Yeah. Or he was definitely a very great English language teacher and a literature teacher. These people inspired me through the literature lessons, and then I found this newly found potential in me. I realized that definitely writing is something that I can do because I've always been artistic. So I started writing. Sometimes short stories, I never know whether whatever I'm writing, I just write. Yeah, I remember my first book actually I wrote it when I was in grade 10. Yeah, but it was an assignment because Mr. Sokoya asked me to write a book, a play on the theme mothers. Yeah, it was an assignment he gave out to a lot of people, everybody with a different assignment, all the art students, and mine was that. So that was my first book I wrote, but actually I lost it now. I can't find it anywhere.
Sorry.
So, yeah, so unfortunate. Then later I moved to the Gambia College School of Education. After my high school, I majored English language and agricultural science, and I graduated from there in 2018. And ever since I've been teaching until 2020 when I got admission to the university. But still now I'm a teacher.
Amazing. No wonder he's doing good as time goes on. You know how teachers can be. Amazing. I know that you are into poetry. Is that the only gene of literature you concentrate on, or you do other genes as well?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I've decided to explore other genres of literature. So of course I'm not limiting myself to poetry. If you check my records, my second book, my second published book is not a poetry book. It is a novella. It's a story longer than a short story, but shorter than a real novel. So it's a novella within the two. Yeah, it's a story. Yeah, so I have extended my tentacles to the other sides, and I'm doing play also. There's a play I'm writing, not done yet, but I am definitely going into it. And script writing, of course, thanks to Babu Sise, he trained us on script writing. That's writing films. Yeah, it was a training he conducted, and later we were all given a chance to write a film, and then he was going to select six among them. We were about 20, and luckily I used my literature skills to write a very nice story, and I got lucky to be one of the six winners. And my script, the story, which is not published, it is going to be acted, will be shown inshallah before the end of this year. It is going to be acted.
Yes. Amazing. Is poetry your passion?
Yeah, it has always been part of it.
I do know that you said you involve yourself in all other genres like novel, dramas, prose and poetry, but I've seen quite a number of your poems. Would I be right if I said poetry is actually your passion among all the others?
So it is what defined me actually. Yeah, and it is the one that paved the way for me to the public eye. So poetry is definitely something that is part of me. Like when I'm happy, I think of a poem. When I'm sad, I think of a poem. When I'm angry, I think of a poem. So it's definitely the one that is in me. It is the natural calling. Yeah, that's why sometimes I tell myself, well, this is not something I really learned, but it's something that God has given me. I am just executing what God has asked me to do.
I think it's your talent.
Yeah, it is. Definitely.
How did you realize it?
As I said, I've always loved writing. It has always been in me. But then when I started doing literature in high school, this was when I realized the different genres, the different ways of writing. This was when I knew the differences within them. So I could now tell myself when I'm writing, this is a story or this is a poem. So this was actually not the time I started writing poetry. I wrote my first poem after high school, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, after high school, there was a radio program. I was invited. First it was my friend who was there, and then he told me I'm live on this radio station. If you can tune in, then I tuned in, and then I sent in my message to show how happy I am that my friend is there. And the moment they read my message, he just shouted and told the teacher, like the host, that this boy has been a very good literature student in our school. He's a very good poet. And I was like, what? I can analyze poems, but I'm not a poet.
Okay.
But then this guy said, well, I would want to see him, so tell him to bring his poems next week. So I said to myself, well, that's it, I'm going to write. So that was how I wrote my first poem. Then but before that, I used to write these rhymes on my status, and people used to enjoy them. And I write lines. Sometimes I feel like they are musical, but then it has always been in me, and I believe this was the turning point where I realized this is actually my calling.
Amazing. Did anyone inspire you, aside from the fact that it looks like you kind of discover your passion yourself? You kind of know that you are very good in poetry and in the writing aspect, but did someone really inspired you to continue writing?
Yeah, actually my cousin was the first person, like to really say this is poetry. My cousin Ansu Juwara, he is very talented. Actually, still now he has not published any book. We have not seen his poems going around, but he is very talented. He can write poems and put them on his status. So when I watch this, they inspire me. As I said, this was how I also started writing these lines and putting them on status. So he was actually the first person to inspire me, to look into poetry, to actually, say, yes, if he can do it, I can also do it. Actually, we are all the same blood. So I started. That was the starting point. But then to put them to paper as a real poem, that came after this invitation to attend this radio program.
Amazing. I saw before. I'm going to ask you about your books, Mr. Corruption. But before that, I kind of read one of your poems not long ago. It's written in pidgin. Let's say January. It's
Yeah,
actually in pidgin.
yeah,
Yeah, I was so
don't finish
amazed.
us.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, does that mean he can speak pidgin as well?
Well, I would not be very fluent as
Mm-hmm.
the Nigerians, but of course, I can understand them very well. I can understand Pidgin very well. Um, this came as a result of my this strong fascination, towards Nigerians. I love these people. Like
Mm-hmm.
Nigerians are people who are very artistic. They are very talented. Whatever you want to do in this world, just look up to them. You will find somebody who can inspire you.
Oh,
So
okay.
I keep following them. I followed them like yo. I can say, in fact, when you look at the novels that are written out there, you will find the greatest African writers among the Nigerians.
Sure, they're
You want to
good.
look for films
Mm-hmm.
in Africa, they are the top.
Mm-hmm.
Skit makers on social media, they are on top.
Mm-hmm.
So if you really want to make it as an African, I believe Nigerians are people you can look up to. I admire them, so I've been following them. That's why I decided to write this poem in their language, to at least
How
so
appreciative you are to them.
yeah, let me show them. That's why I actually had to post it on the right in, points in Nigeria initiative on Facebook, to show them that actually I'm somebody from the Gambia, but I've been following you, and I think I can write in your language. Appreciate this.
Definitely. And I'm very sure they will appreciate it because we have just a few people in the Gambia who can speak Pidgin and not to talk of writing it. Yes. So tell us about your book, Mr. Corruption.
Writing, you know, it can be person, but sometimes, like the Manikas would say, "Ni ba de tata kindiro kele." Yeah,
Tanyang.
I was pushed to the corner to write this poem, this book.
Mhm.
I know some people may be hurt by saying this, but then I'm a teacher, as I said,
Mhm.
and then in 2020 I started the university, but then these people have this policy that you cannot go to the university without scholarship, so that they can give you study leave. But then I could not get the scholarship and I applied for it. So I just said to myself, well, I have to pay on my own and continue trying.
Mhm.
So that's what I was doing until one fine day, some officials came to our school and demanded a list of all the teachers going to the university. And
Mhm.
my name was among. Then I was pushed in, my salary was blocked. I was asked,
Wow.
yeah, I was asked to stop the university or they stop my salary. And then I refused, like I've already paid this semester 16,500, which is more than my salary. So after paying that, you cannot threaten me with blocking my salary for not, leaving university. I have to finish this semester.
Mhm.
That was how it happened, and then my salary was blocked, and then I was also, frustrated with all this stuff. Like I've been going up and down for them to release my salary and everything. Um, just to cut it short,
Mhm.
the frustrations led me to write this poem because I was actually the same. It happened at the time that they were doing the postings. You understand?
Mhm.
And then I had no choice but to go to the provinces so that I can have scholarship with the MRC Holland so that I can come back and continue my program. And then I felt like I'm losing a full year because of this law. Like you cannot go to the university without scholarship. And then I applied scholarship, but they are not also giving me. You want me to get scholarship to go to the university, but then you are not also giving me. So I said, well, it all boils down to something that is corruption.
Mhm.
Because I know people who are going to the university. I will not call their names, but I know people who are going to the university with the scholarship. They are telling me they are not disbursing at this particular time.
Mhm.
So when I'm going to the provinces in a bus, sitting alone on my own, I take out my phone and start writing the story.
Wow.
I write this story. 90% of it was written on the bus when going. When I'm alone, I keep writing.
I can see the anger, like the anger you felt
Yeah,
that time.
I was disappointed and angry, honestly. Well, I felt like I deserved the scholarship. I did
Definitely.
not get it. And then to be sent out, you know, leaving the university was something, that really angered me. I started with people who are now in their final year and I'm in my third year. I lost a full year. It hurt me a lot. So this book was like warning people
Mhm.
that the corruption you do will fire back.
Mhm.
Yes, because the story is of Abu who held a government position but was very corrupt. Though he was fine for his people
Mhm.
because he used to support them. When a family member needs something, he gets it for them, which is just nepotism. Yeah. But then he had to pay back for the corruption he did. and unfortunately with his own life. But more than that, his son came to suffer because when his son grew up to look for scholarship, he was not having anybody there. Just like me, I did not have anybody. My dad is not working with the government.
Sure.
He's just a driver out there. And we came from a poor background. We don't have anybody up there who will do it for us. So I felt, literature is a means of mass communication. You pass, message to people. So, this boy had to suffer so much that he did not have anything to do in this country. He could not get scholarship with his good marks, and then he had to take his bag and go for back way. That was how the story went. So it's a warning to all the people. When you do it to other people, your sons and daughters or relatives will come one day, people are going to do it to them.
I mean, they say what goes around comes around.
Sorry.
I don't even know how to call that act of stopping you or cutting down your salary. Why would anyone do that? I mean, we're all taking chances to grab UTG or higher institutional students to come to our workplaces. So if you have somebody who wants to pursue that, why cut their salaries or even stop them from going? That definitely is the worst that I've had so far this week. Yes, not this month, but
Very,
this week.
very
Yes,
disheartening,
it's bad. It's bad. Tell us, among all your books that you've written, because I know that Mr. Corruption is not the only book you've written. This book is not the only one you've written.
Yeah.
Among all of them that you've written, which one do you think have so much impact, so much positive impact in our society?
I think the readers would be the best to answer that question. But personally, I feel Mr. Corruption has the most to do with the society. Yeah, even though my first publication, Spilled Beans, was almost the same. When you look at the statement, Spilled Beans, it's like revealing something. Like I took to paper so many things that people are afraid to speak about. I came out, in my poems and spoke about them. So I revealed a lot of ills. So that is something. But then this one, I think it is central to this condition of the Gambia at the moment. There is nobody who can escape this corruption. So that's why the book has two names. You have Mr. Corrupt's son and Mr. Corruption. So Mr. Corruption is the son, and Mr. Corruption is the man himself. He is Mr. Corruption. So he was corrupt, and his son is his, Mr. Corruption is the one who suffers. And the story basically is about him. That's why you can see it's the one that is bolded. So to send a message to the people, and honestly, all the people who read the book and gave me feedback, they told me I can really relate the story. Yeah, because it is typically Gambian. It's typically Gambian, and especially what we are facing right now. Yeah, it's my favorite right now. But there is one that I really love more, which is not yet out. It's a trilogy. I've been suffering to get publishers. It's a trilogy. I wrote both the first and the second. The third one is incomplete. But that one was also because I could not get these ones published, so I really lost some appetite in the process. But then I would have to succumb to self-publishing like I've always done. Yeah, but I believe when that one comes, it would be my favorite. But for now, this is it.
Amazing. So you said you do self-publication. That means you all this is self-publishing books.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Juwara is such a brilliant somebody, and he's doing so much well to give us something good. I mean, this is not just for him. He's writing something that can educate you and I, and I would really advise we take it with both hands. We appreciate him for what he's doing. So this word that a lot of time writers argue about, even me, I always argue about it. It's called intersexuality. Yes, people say whatever you write, somebody have written it. I don't concur with that, but do you?
I will not reject it 100%, but then I will not also agree with it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not agreeing because you agreed, or I'm not disagreeing because you disagree. Yes, but the fact is, whatever you have written, especially when it is something that have to do with the society, somebody might have felt that same thing and have written it before, but then the way you felt it and the way you put it to paper would be different from another person. Yeah, so it cannot be 100% the same, but then some themes may be recurring, they may be coming back. Yeah, but then to say in the textuality, in its literal sense, no, I will disagree with that.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think there would be anybody who read a book that is exactly like mine. And definitely, I cannot agree with
I
that.
mean, yeah,
Yeah,
'cause I was one time in a class, so the teacher was like, "There's nothing you can read, and somebody has written that before." I was like, "No, no, no. We just experienced coronavirus right now. So what if coronavirus just came today, and then I decided to write about coronavirus? Does that mean somebody also wrote coronavirus in the past? Because this is our first time experiencing it."
exactly.
He gave his incredible points, like, well, maybe for example, if you write about divorce, and if you write a story on divorce, maybe a word divorce is also written on another person's book. I
Yeah,
told him, yeah, that is right too. It's actually a debatable word, but then we will, let's see.
yeah.
Yes. Will you advise writers to involve themselves in politics or even write about political stuffs?
You can't escape politics.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, I will have to reveal this here.
Mm-hmm.
My dad has always told me to stay away from politics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I really heed his advice. But politicians are deciding your life every day. They are making decisions for you every day. So it would be hard to stay away from things that are affecting you, especially things that are affecting you directly.
Mm-hmm.
Now, let's say, for example, if I read about the rising murder cases, if I read about corruption, if I read about, let's say, the price hikes, they may seem like social problems, but then they are also political in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
So of course you cannot totally avoid it, But the problem with politics, especially in Africa, is you may never make it out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you enter it, it's hard to get yourself out of it. Like you would be tagged, and the moment that tag is placed on you, it's finished. You can never tell people I'm not a politician.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people do not really understand this stuff. So of course, write about things to writers, write about things that are affecting you.
Mm-hmm.
If it is political, let it be. Yes, that is why when you look at William Wordsworth, he said in his definition of poetry, he said it is a powerful outflow, like a spontaneous outflow of powerful emotions. It is something that affects you and it's coming out of you. And emotions are things that sometimes you cannot control. So what affects you is what goes in as your emotion. So when you bring it out, that is what he calls poetry. Now, what if a politician's decision affects my life and I feel it? Then when I write about it, whether I want to be a politician or not, I have spoken about poetry, politics. So the bottom line would be: do not explicitly go into politics as they do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I don't think that's a good idea, especially for a young writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, do not be political, because the moment you do that, you might be influenced with your writing.
Mm-hmm.
You will not be honest enough, like Chinua Achebe said. A writer's supposed to be honest. When you are writing, even when you are writing about your own self or your own people, you should be honest. That's why in his book he spoke about the death of Ikemefuna. Ikemefuna was killed, which actually does not appeal to the senses to a great extent, but that was how Africans were living. So he was honest enough to reveal that. So just be honest with yourself. Stay away from politics, especially on the national level, but then write about things that affect you. The moment you don't do that, you are a dishonest point. And in my first publication, Spilled Beans, I wrote a poem about that dishonest points. You say the truth and avoid it and write about something else. You are dishonest to your talent that God has given you. You must use your pen to reveal the truth.
The truth.
Always.
Only the truth.
Yes.
Yes. Do you read Gambian books? Because I know a quite number of people, like, you can walk to a school and ask a student or a whole classroom, give me the names of just 5 Gambian authors. I doubt they will be able to answer your question.
Yeah, it's definitely disheartening.
Yes. They don't know Gambian books at all.
Gambians don't.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you are a writer. I want to ask if you read Gambian books at all.
Yeah, so I do, and especially recently, I've loved Gambian books so much. Of course, I've read a lot of Gambian books. Yes, I read Gambian books.
Why do you think Gambians don't read? Like, the majority of them, I wouldn't say majority because I haven't did any fact finding about it, but I know a quite number of people don't actually show interest in Gambian books. Why do you think that that happens?
Um, Gambians generally, not even only Gambian books, Gambians generally don't like reading.
Okay.
Yeah, you look very strange when you see like somebody who reads a lot. They will just be wowed. Like just recently, we did introduction to Gambian literature at the university, you know, and then when you speak about some of the books you have read, people will be like, "Wow, you spend all your life reading." I was like, "No, bro, I don't spend all my life reading. It's just about creating time for it." So of course, Gambians generally have this bad attitude towards reading. Gambians don't like reading. So it's not only Gambian books they don't read; they don't just read. And considering the number of publications Gambians have made, maybe that is another influencing factor. You know, comparing it to other countries, the Gambia has produced less than 1%, I can say. So our publication number is not much. So that is another thing that is influencing the reason why Gambians are not reading Gambian books. I think another reason would be the unavailability of Gambian books in the curriculum. Like when you ask literature students the books they are doing, if there is a Gambian book, it will be only one. But I don't even think there is a Gambian book there. I did literature, and then I've taught literature, but I've never done a Gambian book in the literature curriculum, unless you bring it in as a supporting, you know, like an additional work, you know, an extra thing for the kids. But the co-curricular ones are never Gambian. For instance, I can say Michael Hamadi Seka's The Shock. It was brought in, yeah, when I was in grade 7, but then we were not doing literature, we were doing English. So sometimes our teacher brings it and we read it in class. That's how it's always been. But then having a Gambian book as a co-curricular stuff, you know, is always lacking. So I think that is another factor that is affecting people's attitude towards reading Gambian books, because people don't read for pleasure.
Sure.
They only read when it is important for them to read it because they need to pass their exams. So if Gambian books are not in that position, you know, where it is compulsory for them, they will not read it.
No.
Yeah, so I think these are some of the reasons why Gambians really don't read Gambian books.
And I think that part is very, very important, and that have to be directed to the Ministry of Education or anybody responsible for that, because it's easier for us to adapt to things that are to understand things that are happening in our society. If you write something and you are a Gambian, you definitely write things about Gambians.
So
If I read that, I will easily understand, and something that is happening outside, like outside as their book, you definitely not relate to it, because that those are things that you are not seeing and they are not happening to you. So I think it's very, very important if we include Gambian books in our curriculums. Moving forward, I saw your post on Baba Silla.
yes, oh, I love him so much.
Yes. How did you came about that?
Uh, Baba Silla's poem, trilogy, When the Monkey Talks, Dabaliji, and Dreams of the Islands, um, came up in one of my discussions in class with my kids. Although it's something that I'm supposed to do at the university, yeah, but it came up in class because I was talking about Edward Francis Small in class. Then one day I spoke about Baba Silla, and one of my kids told me, "Hey, my dad has that book, When the Monkey Talks," because the When the Monkey Talks, Baba Silla presents a man, Edu Faramundao, who you know is the person of Edward Francis Small. You understand? So he told me I have that book. Then I told him, "Can you bring it for me?" He told me, "Yeah." He brought it, so I read the book, and it was amazing. And where the book ended, it was like, no, I cannot stop here. I have to go for the second one. So thanks to the Almighty, this boy's father has all these copies. So he brought Dabalaji 2 for me. I read it in a couple of days. Father finished, and then I asked him to bring Dreams of the Islands too. I read it, and the more I read it, the more I got attached to Baba Silla. Yeah, like the way he narrated what happened in the Gambia within a span of about 200 years. You know, the first one was when Gambia was at the peak of, you know, colonialism. The colonial masters were forcing our people to pay taxes that you can't even understand, you know, and they were forced to grow groundnut. You know, people were forced into taking loans. So you realize this is actually what happened in the Gambia, but I never knew these things.
Never knew.
Yeah. So Baba Silla, you know, presented a master class, This is not a child's play. Honestly speaking, I commend him for this work. It is so tremendous. It's so amazing, and the stories are so beautiful. And you can see the depiction of culture in the books. You learn a lot about your culture. This is the way things are done in African settings. The moment you read the book, you have no choice but to love the person who wrote them.
Amazing.
Yeah, this was how I got attached to Baba Silla so much that I cannot keep it to myself.
Wow.
Yes, like anybody who knows me knows that I love Baba Silla.
Oh.
Yeah, oh yes.
My next question is who inspired you among the Gambian writers? But speaking like the way you speak of Baba Silla, I don't know if I already know the answer to that question. Who inspired? Because we have so many Gambian authors and they are doing amazing. It surprises me why some people still don't know a quite number of them. We have amazing, so many of them. Who inspired you?
To write a book specifically, it came from my readers. Yeah, I was writing poems, sharing it all over, and a lot of people. If I want to mention names here, I will not do justice to some. Yeah, but a lot of people tell me, why not you compile this and make it a book? Why not you compile this and make it a book? Why not you do this? It came coming up all the time. It came coming up all the time. So I told myself, well, I think it is time to do this. Let me compile. I would not also forget Modul Lamin H. Al Musaf. So he showed me the way. Actually, when I wanted to write this, compile them, he showed me how to do it and how to publish it on Amazon too. He was the one who showed me because it is difficult to get published in the Gambia. And he told me, Kebba, there is a bigger world outside the Gambia. You don't have to limit yourself to the Gambia. So go out there, present yourself to the global market. So he showed me. I think the inspiration came from the people, my readers, but then the guidance came from ML. He showed me how to write the book, and then that was how I published my first book.
Amazing. Amazing. That means you have to read. You really have to read because he said his inspiration comes from you. Buy his books. Mr. Corruption is very, very cheap and he has other books with him also. Moving forward, do you think writing associations in the Gambia impact Gambian writers?
Yeah, that's very right. Even though it might not be as monumental as what we may expect, but they have definitely. There are a lot of people who started writing after connecting with other writers, and this could have never been if not for the presence of these writing associations. For example, you have the Writers Association and the Young Writers Association. A lot of people started, thinking of writing their own books when they started mingling with writers. When you see somebody doing it, you tell yourself, yeah, I can also do this. Yeah, you know, um, I think this is one thing also in me. Like when I see people doing something, I tell myself I can do this. Yeah, oh no, it's not difficult. Come on, I can also do this. Then I also give a shot. Yeah, I've always been like that. So, and I think people are naturally like that. When you see somebody does do something, you also want to do it.
Sure.
Yeah. So the writing associations, of course, inspired a lot of people to write, and I can tell you that for free. There are a lot of people out there. If you ask them why did you write your first book, they will tell you it's because of this particular person. And if you ask them how did you meet that person, they will tell you it's through this association.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Kudos to the Writers Association of the Gambia and then the Young Writers Association of the Gambia and other writing associations as well.
Sure.
I usually hear people call you my mentor. Are you a mentor? Do you think you are really impacting the lives of individuals out there?
Trying to be humble as much as possible.
No, you have to
Yeah,
you have to say because I had a quite number of people calling you mentors. Some people will be like, Mr. Kebba, Juwara is actually the one who made me write these poems. I had that frequently.
Yeah, but there are a lot of people, a lot. There's some actually even older than me. Yeah, I must commend them for their humility. People always come to me and tell me, I want to be a poet, but I don't know how to do it, how to start it. Or like, how are you able to come up with these poems? People come up, and ask me all the time, and then I always do my best to give them what I think they need to know in order to do it. Yeah. Some of them, especially the ones in high school, mostly, I give them some assignments. Actually, I tell them to read certain materials. Yeah, read certain poems by certain people. Then I, push them forward little by little until they are able to grasp what literature or what poetry really is. And then, start a poem for them and ask them to add few lines. That's how I guide some of them until they are able to write, their own poems. And sometimes I'll ask them, now this is a topic for you. Write, send it to me, and then I'll edit it. And when I edit, I write down an explanation of why I changed this, why I feel this is okay. And then this is how a lot of them started coming. But I can tell you there are some who already have the talent. They just needed somebody to just spark that up. Yes. And the moment you show them the way, book, they are there. I can give you two classical examples, or three or four. I don't know how many can I give. It's a lot. For example, one like Muhammad Lamin Mane. This boy was already a talented poet. He already only needed somebody to show him the way. The moment I gave him few explanations, he was out there. You have people like Sanusi also. Big up to you. You have Ibrahim Job. And then you have a colleague of mine also. When I went to Kiang, that's why they said behind every dark cloud is a silver lining. I impacted a lot of people out there, and actually it would never have been if not because of their readiness also. Yeah. One of them was my colleague, Mr. Dabo. He is also very talented, but he never took up writing seriously. But when I started interacting with him, I inspired him, and then he started writing. The first poem he wrote, I was really amazed. I was like, yo, this is better than my first poem. He did well, and now, Alhamdulillah, he's a very good poet, and he's also writing stories. I started the story online on Facebook. I think I've been sharing it on WhatsApp also sometimes, although not very frequently, but I was very consistent on Facebook. He saw that, and then he started writing a story. So amazing, much more interesting than my own. So you see, and then you have this boy also who was also a head boy. I inspired him into poetry, showed him the way, and I can happily say he's a published poet now. Yeah, he compiled his poems and published a book. So I think, yeah, there's a couple of people out there who I mentored. Yeah, I believe I can do better than what I have done, but because of time and everything, it's not easy.
I think you are doing amazing. You are a very fascinated somebody, because a lot of time when you reach out to people, they are always like, no, they don't want to help you. But even if they help you in a wrong way, if you want to complain, they will give this one particular example that I always had of Harry Potter failed. Why are you complaining? I'm like, just because Harry Potter failed, that does not mean somebody also has to fail in the writing arena.
So,
You're doing incredible well, and we are proud of you.
no, thanks, man.
Yes. Moving forward, has it? Do you ever feel like writing is just a waste of time? You don't have to sit and write your poems or your novels.
Maybe let me help you say it in another way. Looking for money in writing in the Gambia is a waste of time.
Okay.
You cannot look for money in writing in the Gambia, honestly. But then I always challenge myself. Yeah, my write-ups, generally, I feel the message is what is more important. Yeah, so of course, if you are writing because of money in the Gambia, I'm telling you for free, it's a waste of time.
It's a waste
Yeah,
of time.
it's difficult to make it. But then I think I have something to present to people. In one of the poems I wrote in my latest book, An Obelisk for Grandpa, my grandfather, who is also my Toma. Yeah, one of the poems was like the pen man. That is the title of the poem. In this poem, I told my grandpa, like the poem is in the form of a letter to my grandpa. I told him, like, who is Shakespeare that your Toma cannot outdo?
Wow.
Yeah, I will outdo William Shakespeare. Yes, I want my grandpa to be happy when he sees me on the day of judgment.
He would.
Inshallah,
He
I
would.
hope we meet in Jannah.
Yes. I see two of your poems being published in foreign magazines. How did that happen?
Yeah, again, generally the first one was actually because of my closeness to the Nigerians. I follow their works, I follow a lot of what they do, and then this opportunity came up, yeah, to submit poems for Juwara Achebe's, I think it's the 78th anniversary of something. I don't know. I can't remember the number actually. Yeah, but there is this yearly, literary festival they do in honor of
Achebe.
Chinua Achebe, and they also ask for submissions from poets all over the world to submit their poems and essays, and they select some of them and put them in this magazine. So when I saw that, they said the theme for this year's own would be on Chinua Achebe himself and his works. So and then just recently after this, I just finished reading, his trilogy. You know, Arrow of God, Things Fall Apart. Things Fall Apart is first. Arrow of God and No Longer at Ease. So No Longer at Ease was so impactful because it was also about corruption. Yeah, so I wrote a poem about the struggles of Obi Okonko. So the moment they said it should be about Chinua Achebe and his works, I just composed that poem and submitted it. So it's actually an amazing poem, and then it got selected.
Wow.
And then yeah, I was also invited to go and attend the memorial lecture and festival in Oka, Anambra State, in Nigeria. But unfortunately, I could not make it because of financial constraints.
Wow.
I could not pay the air ticket and the hotel reservations, so I missed it. But then I received my certificate. Yeah. The second one was published by an Indian, The Way of Life Literature Magazine. Yeah, it's they also opened submissions, and then I submitted, and I am also so happy, not because I got published personally myself, but I have three other Gambians who are also published. And all those three, Alhamdulillah, came through me. They were people I inspired, people I've guided, people I've worked it with. Like all of them were like, "Oh, Juwara, we are so grateful that you showed us the way." And I was like, "Yeah, this is a moral obligation. When you know something, you inspire other people." Of course, I'm so happy and so happy about them. They're really making me proud. Ibrahim Job, Basimbai, and Maud Lamin Mane,
Amazing.
whereas all their poems were published in this magazine. So I think Gambians are doing well out there, and we can do more.
Definitely, especially if the support is given.
Yeah.
Yes. It's a new year. Are we expecting a new book?
I've challenged myself that every year I publish 2 books.
Wow.
I've already.
That is massive.
Yeah. I've already taken that pledge, and with or without support, I will make sure I do that. Actually, with support, like if I can have writing as my career, where if I publish books, I will have enough sales to take care of my financial, obligations. Every 6 months, I will publish a book. I will, because I have a lot of ideas. I have a little book where I write down a bit sheet of all my stories. I just see something and it inspires me, then I'll come and write. This is the opening. This is the inciting incident. This is the turn into the second act, then the third act, the middle point, the all the things, the climax up to the ending. I have nothing less than 10 of those in my little book.
Incredible.
But having time to read them, to write them down is the problem, because actually I'm a teacher. I have to go and teach, and I'm also going to the university. So time is actually the problem. But if I should have, writing as my career, not in fact, let me add it. I can give you more than 2 books in a year. But then with or without support, with whatever circumstances, I've taken this pledge with myself that every year I'll publish 2 books. Yes, and that inshallah I'm on the way.
That is
Yes.
amazing.
So expect 2 books this year, fans. Expect 2 books this year.
Expect 2 books from the author of Mr. Corruption. And
Yes.
please, you have to support and you have to buy this book. It's very cheap. I actually forgot the price though.
Yeah, it's 250.
Just 250.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever had like this? Now the way things are, do you hear somebody say the books is they are selling their books for 250? No, it's always 300 upwards. So you definitely have to buy these books to learn so much from Mr. Kebba, Juwara. And moving forward, what are some of the challenges you face? Because you've mentioned one that is heartbreaking. The fact that you could not go to Nigeria for that conference because of financial crisis. I don't know. We have so many writing associations in the Gambia, and you mentioned you actually helping them. You said they are supportive, but mentioning that, I was like in my mind, oh my God, where were they? You should definitely have gone. What are some of the challenges you face?
Yeah, number one would be the financial challenges, you know. I think when we want people to concentrate on writing, it takes time. So the time we are supposed to use to look for money is the time we are supposed to use for writing books. So if you want us to sacrifice the time for money to write, then the books should also bring something. Yeah. But then we have this problem, you publish books and they will carry dust on your shelves. People will not buy them. That's one problem, the financial problems. And then we also have the problem of publication. I sometimes say we don't have a publishing house. With all respect, to people who are publishing out there. But then what I understand to be publication, traditional publication, not vanity publication, is the only job you have as a writer is to write your story. You give it to them, they will format it for you, arrange it properly. They will edit, proofread, do the cover design, publish and market, and then they give you the royalties. You have your share as a royal in the royalties. That is what is supposed to be done. But in the game, if you want to publish, you go to some people, they will charge you for a lot, and then you will have to do the marketing yourself. It's challenging. Yeah. There's a long list of problems. I don't know whether I can mention all of them. Another is the poor reading habit. Gambians don't read. Gambians really don't like reading. That is why I always make sure my books are not big. This book you can read it in 3 hours.
Sure.
Yeah, and if you're fast, you can even finish it within before 3 hours. So it's very short. It's a very short story. I just want this message to go to people. That's why I did not want to make it long. Actually, just make it short so people can see it. Another problem is the books are not in the school system. Yeah, we were so close to it with Louis Mendy. He was so supportive to us, the Young Writers Association. We came to him and then he asked us to bring in books for him, written by Gambians, so they can pass it through the curriculum department. They will check it and see the books that are fit to be in the system. But all of a sudden, he was moved to another ministry.
Wow.
Yeah, if he was there, I believe, we would have been somewhere.
Things would have been better.
Yeah, but I think we can still try again with the person there now. Yeah, to see if there is a way forward. When our books are accepted in the school system, now imagine if even just junior school is doing Mr. Corruption. All the junior school students buy this book. You see how much money that can generate for me?
It will even motivate you more.
Exactly. And it will also boost the standard. Because if I know my book has to pass through a testing stage, like they have to scrutinize it to see that it is fit for the system. When I'm writing, I'll make sure I write something credible. I don't know whether you see the point. Yeah, so I believe that is another problem, having, no Gambian books or only few Gambian books in the school system. The moment those things come up, I think the industry will grow. We also have the problem of unhealthy competition. The moment we realize that coming together is the way forward, we will make it. You have a lot of writers out there, a lot of people with talent, but they just need support. But the moment you see the next person as a competitor, you will not be ready to support the person and things will not go forward. Yeah, the moment we realize somebody's fortune is not my misfortune, we will make it. Because if somebody else grows, that does not decrease anything from what God has destined for you. Well, I'll come back to the Nigerians. You see why these people are making it in their arts industry? They support each other. I am telling you, like when you see a skit maker becoming very famous, he will make sure he feature another upcoming skit maker in one of his skits, so that person will be seen. And then when they do few skits together, you see that person will have his own channel. He will be out there. They are artists. They go and get people from the underground and they make them come up. If we also adopt this, we will grow. Yeah, but then the unhealthy competition is something. Honestly, we are not ready to open ourselves to these things. And for me, I don't think I will be afraid of anybody to say that. Yeah, we need to come together, as writers. and support each other. This is our arts. If the system is not there for us, then we have to create the system for ourselves. And if we come together, we can do it. I believe in that. Yeah, so that is another problem.
You have to support one another. We have to support one another. It's very important. You cannot be the one shining all the time. You have to give chances to your friends. You might never know. Your destiny in becoming so much greater might be in their hands.
For real.
Yes. What advices do you have for young people out there, especially those who are involved in writing? Because I know it's very, very stressful to be into writings in this country.
Yeah. The first and most important, because I have a lot of interaction with young people who want to be writers. I think the first thing you need to know is the language you are coming to write in. Yeah, because we cannot be battling with creativity and we still have problems of the language. You cannot be creative in a language if you are not good enough in it. Yeah, even if it have to take you extra time to study English language, take it. This is what you want. Know English language first, then you can write in English. So let our people be ready to dedicate themselves to know the language. If you want to write in the local languages also, that is also acceptable. In fact, one time as Young Writers Association, we had a meeting with the executive secretary of ACALAN, the African Union's branch about languages in Africa. He told us that they want to see books written in local languages. So of course, if you feel you can express yourself better in local languages, do it. See Juka, see Jukes the Magical.
Yes.
See Fofana Kanye. See the way they go into the local language. See Mas Jebis. They do it in the local language and it impacts more.
Sure.
Like in one of my poems, I said, "Nye dua laje dua kela Arabu kango wando angale kango." Ani biara problemo le man danna si. Nim problemo wara rabage. You will forget English language. You will write it in the language that you were breastfed in. So we have to get a mastery of the language we want to write in. This is the first thing. Second thing, you have to dedicate time for it. You cannot say you want to be a poet or you want to be an author of any genre of literature and you don't want to create time to write. You have to sacrifice. Like the Nigerians would say, "I'm sorry, why am I looking so Nigerian today?" Maybe I've been following them. They would say, "He who does not sleep will receive slips, like pay slips. If you don't sleep, you receive pay slips." So you have to sacrifice some time from your life for what you love. And the moment you do that, the benefits will come. So the young writers coming up, know the language you want to write in. English language or your local language, have a mastery of that language. And also dedicate time for it. And listen to advice. Get somebody who you trust, somebody who can help you become who you want to be. Have a mentor. Somebody who will guide you and follow the advice. Although creativity is allowed. Yeah. But then freestyle or creativity to an extent that will affect the established order of a particular genre of literature is not credible. You can be creative, but then if you are creative to an extent that it does not follow any of the rules, it will lose standard. So you have to make sure there are certain standards that you don't fall under. Yeah, I think when our people do this, we can do it better.
Yeah. He said you have to write on the language you understand. They said if you write or speak on the language somebody understands, they tend to appreciate you more because that's what they understand. So I think that's very important. The singer said, "Goodbye is the saddest word." It's almost time. We have to stop here. What would be your final message?
Well, I think I've said it all. But then still, let us try and come together. Yeah. We do not have a problem with talent in the Gambia. We have a problem with attitude towards the things that we want. Yeah, so I think when we come together, as one and support each other, when we have, tasks to do that we cannot accomplish on our own, we summon the help of others and they are ready to help, then we can move forward. So I think we need to come together, provide a system for ourselves, something that will enable all of us to reach there. Yeah, let us come together. And the young people out there, you are really doing well. They are all trying. my high school mentors and mentees out there. I love you all. Just keep trying. Keep trying. We will be there. It's never by magic. It's just, to be ready. When you are ready, you will make it there. So let us come together, the experienced and the novice, the one that is already popular and the one that is not there. Let us all try and come together. With the togetherness, we can make it. I think unity is the ultimate solution for all the things that we are facing.
Sure.
Yeah, the one we do that, we can make it out there. Yeah, just keep it up. Yeah, never give up. That's the deal. And don't forget to buy my books.
Yes, Mr. Corruption is very, very cheap. It's very, very cheap. Just 250. Do you have maybe Facebook handles? Because this is fine TV. You always promote amazing people like you. Maybe you have Facebook or Instagram that you want to share with them so that they can follow your amazing points.
Yeah, so on Facebook you can type my name in, Kebba S Juwara. I also have my page, the Panacea Poetry. You can follow. I have a YouTube channel too where I post some spoken word poems, even though I'm not very good in spoken word. I leave that to the likes of Fofana Kanya and Nas Javis, and you know them. They are the best in that. Yes. You can also follow me on Instagram, though I'm not very active on Instagram. But Facebook is where you can have almost everything. Yes, all my poems that I've shared, like for people on social media, are on my Facebook page, Kebba S Juwara or Panacea Poetry. You can have access to all of them. You can link me through them. You can link me on my WhatsApp, and you can also send me email on kebasjuwara62@gmail.com. Yeah, you will always have my response. Yeah, and if you want the books, they are all available on Amazon. The first one is Spilled Beans. It's a collection of poems. The second one is Mr. Corruption, published on the 1st of January 2023. And the last one, which is not available in hard copy, is only on soft copy on Amazon. I published it on the 23rd of December 2023. That makes it, I took that pledge that every year 2 books.
Yes.
So I published both of them in 2023. December 23rd, 2023 marked 20 years since my grandfather died. So I wrote that book in honor of him. Yeah, to make him immortal. That's why it is entitled An Obliques for Grandpa. I want him to live forever. He was everybody. He was everything to me, actually. And I am his only Toma also.
I'm sure he's proud of you wherever he is.
So
It was such an interactive interaction with you. Thank you so much for coming.
You're welcome.
I'm afraid, viewers, this is all we have for you. Until we see you the next time, have a beautiful day and be safe out there.